Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, and in today's video I want to talk a little bit about creative burnout because I feel like it's been something I've been having quite a lot recently, and I feel it's something that we should talk about more, and that it's okay to have creative burnout and just some things that we can do to maybe help us recover and rest and recuperate and then get back into creativity. But before I get into the discussion, I just want to quickly talk about the artwork that I have in this video. I am doing some fan art of WandaVision, or specifically the Scarlet Witch, because I am obsessed with that show. It's quite new to Disney+, it's a spin-off of Marvel to do with Wanda and Vision, and I absolutely love it. I absolutely love the TV shows, how it goes through the decades, because I'm a big history nerd, especially with retro things, and I just love all the little details of it. So I wanted to do some art, and I just love the Scarlet Witch costume, and I think she's really awesome and quite badass. So this is what I'm doing. I'm using my Copic markers and other markers that I have because I still need to refill my Copic inks because I'm not very good at refilling my Copics. So we have a mixture of markers as a base layer, mostly reds, and then I went over the top with my Polychromos pencils. I used mostly like reds and warm colours, but I added some blues and purples just to kind of make that contrast with some cooler shadows to make it that little bit more deeper. And the idea here was a bit more semi-realistic rather than realism, as you can probably tell. And it's not perfect, it didn't turn out perfect, but I really like it. I think I'm quite proud of how it turned out, and I do really like how it turned out. So let me know in the comments below whether you've watched WandaVision and whether you like it and what you think of this fan art. So now moving on a little bit to the idea of creative burnout. So what is creative burnout? Creative burnout to me, I think, is when you just are tired of creating. It's not necessarily that you don't have the ideas, because for me it's that I want to do all of this stuff, but because I don't have the time or my work has just made me tired, I just want to do other things. To me it is just, you're just too tired and you don't feel like you have the motivation to do what you want to do. It can also mean that you have creative block as well, that you don't really have any ideas and you don't know what to do. That doesn't happen to me as much. I get very overexcited about things but then just don't have the energy to do it. And I think for me recently, especially over the past few weeks, I've struggled a little bit with my physical health, and that has made me more tired than normal. And also because my job now is, as much as I love it, my job now is making children's art videos for work. And don't get me wrong, I do absolutely love this and it is really good fun, but now video making seems a bit more like work and I have less motivation to do it, so that does give me a little bit more creative burnout. And I think the crux of creative burnout to me is not from external pressure necessarily, although it can be. I think it is when I put too much pressure on myself, and I think a lot of artists can probably relate to this. Because you want to be constantly posting to your YouTube channel or to social media, and I think also social media doesn't help this either, because you feel like the algorithm makes you feel like you have to keep posting to your social medias, otherwise you won't get as many follows, people will start to drift off, and that is really, really sad. I think there shouldn't be this pressure of, if an artist wants to take a break for a month or so, that should be fine, that should not affect their following, but it does, and that is the sad reality. But anyway, back to my previous point of putting too much pressure on yourself. I think this is key to creative burnout, because you just keep pushing yourself to do stuff and you feel guilty for not doing stuff, because when art is something you enjoy and you don't see the art side of it as work, you thinking, why am I just not doing this? Why can't I just push myself to do this? I don't understand, like, I should be able to do this. And you kind of beat yourself up, and then the art that you produce isn't necessarily the best because you're kind of doing it begrudgingly and it isn't fun anymore. So putting pressure on yourself really is, I think, the worst way to deal with this. And I am as guilty as probably everyone else, even more so at this, because I put pressure on myself a lot. And we just need to not do that. And we need to learn that it's okay to take a break. and to put the camera down, to have a break from social media, our art social media for a while, and just do what we want to do. Doesn't mean we don't have to be creative. I haven't been making as much videos recently. I am back a little bit more now. I think because I did quite a lot of videos in a short space of time because I felt like I had to. And then I just kind of stopped because I've had like 3 weeks of annual leave. I'm coming to the end of the 3 weeks now, but I still got a bit to go. And I think I was really like, oh, I can do so much video making in this time. I can do so much video making, it'll be amazing. And I put a lot of pressure on myself. And at the end, I didn't really do that much more than I would normally do anyway. But that's okay. It is important to rest our creativity. It doesn't mean that we can't do creative things, like I said. It just means that we don't do it on such a big scale. For example, maybe you could do some sketchbook work, just sit in front of the TV and do some doodling. That does keep your creative mind flowing, but it is a lot less pressure. I've also been doing some knitting because I feel like I have to be achieving something all the time, and it is a real problem. I can't just like sit and do something without feeling guilty about it. So I find something like knitting, although I've been teased a little bit because it's a very grandma thing to do, but it's not. We should normalise knitting. Knitting is cool. I feel that really helps me because I feel like I'm achieving something even though I'm sat in front of Netflix watching true crime or whatever. I feel like I'm actually achieving something. And yeah, it has really helped. I've kind of rambled a little bit. It's more about kind of like my experience over the past few weeks and my own kind of self-pressure. So I think moving forward, I'm going to give some ideas and thoughts about how to prevent creative burnout so you guys don't get to this point of just feeling guilty for not doing anything creative. I think the way to avoid creative burnout, especially if you're a hobbyist like me, especially if your YouTube channel or your social media relating to art is more of a hobby than it is your income. So for my job videos, I've been prioritizing that, which is, right, because that is my income. That's how I pay my bills. So that is where I'm putting my energy into at the moment, and I'm absolutely enjoying it. So if your art is more of a hobby, then just take a step back. And you need to make sure, I think, that you're not using all of your spare time to do that. Okay, sometimes it is good to do that, and sometimes we feel like we can do that. But we do need to take some time in our week and in our daily routine to not do anything art related or anything creative. Because it's really important to kind of rest your mind and rest your body just to recuperate from your creativity. And it doesn't mean that you're not achieving anything. You can just sit and watch Netflix for an hour or two or binge watch WandaVision, and that is absolutely okay. We need to normalise taking a break and normalise the idea that we don't have to be useful all the time, we don't have to be doing anything, and we don't have to be creative and producing art like we're robots. And it is quite a hard thing to learn, but it's all about habit, and if you just do this maybe even once a week or whatever, and you'll start to change your mindset a little bit, and actually you'll find that you want to get back into creating again, whereas before you kind of felt like you were doing it because you have to. And also another thing with me, I think, because I get really excited about ideas, a good thing to do is, if you don't have the energy to do something creative straight away, is you just have a list of ideas of stuff you want to do, and you can just write it down. And you can come back to it later, because if you write it down, it's not going to be in your head as much. You're not going to be thinking about that as much. You're not going to be going, oh, I need to do this now. I need to do this now before I forget about it. Have a notebook or even a page in your sketchbook where you just write down your ideas of what you want to do, and you can come back to that later. But yeah, it is very important not to get to the point of creative burnout and maybe spot the signs before we reach that point, because if you feel burnt out, you're going to think negatively towards your own artwork, and not just doing it. You won't be feeling negative towards, oh, I don't really want to create art today, but I've got to keep my social media going. But you'll feel negatively towards the art that you've done. You'll kind of look back at it with a different eye and just be like, oh, that's so rubbish. What am I even doing? Those kind of negative feelings will take over a lot more. So we really need to look after our mental health as artists and really try and spot some signs of burnout. And if we are starting to feel, or if you are starting to feel like, especially if you're a hobbyist, that your art is becoming more of a chore, you're not enjoying it anymore, you're doing it because you feel like you need to keep the algorithm up to date. Don't really think that's a phrase, but you know what I mean. You need to make sure you're posting to keep your followers happy. If your followers really care about you and they care about your art, they're not going to mind if you take a week or two off or even a month off to rest and get your ideas together and just build your portfolio a little bit privately. They're not going to mind because they're there because they like your artwork and they're going to be excited for what they see afterwards, and they're probably there because they like your personality too, and they're going to be really encouraging. And the people that give you a hard time for that, or comment saying, oh, this isn't good enough, you can't take this much of a break, I'm going, do you really want them following you anyway? You see what I mean? I'm not really sure how helpful this discussion has been. I've just kind of done it unscripted. I've just sat down and recorded into Audacity, and that is it. So when I come to edit this, I might be like, this is bad, so I might record it, or I might not. We'll see. So I think the most important things is to recognise signs of creative burnout before you get to that point. And like I said, the signs are, if you're starting to feel like you don't enjoy doing the artwork and you feel like you're doing it because you have to rather than because you want to. And also taking a break and putting less pressure on yourself. It is really hard to not put pressure on yourself, especially as a creative person. But you must not put as much pressure on yourself, and give yourself a break and make time for yourself and make time to just do nothing art related or creative at all. Just sit in front of the PC and play a game, sit in front of Netflix, do whatever you need to do to rest your mind, because you will be much better, you'll feel much better, you'll feel much more motivated if you take a break and do things more at your own pace and put less pressure on yourself. So yeah, I'm feeling a lot better now. I took quite a lot of time with this artwork. I didn't rush it, because the rushing things is one of the things that I tend to do, and it's not good to rush things really. And I did it over 3 or 4 sittings, and I'm really happy with it. I'm really excited for what I'm going to be doing next, and I'm glad, although my physical health kind of pushed me more than my own kind of mental health, really, to just take this time that I've had off my paid work to just, I've been doing some creating, I have done a couple of videos, but to just kind of step back, and it's okay to just sit in front of Netflix and knit all day, because I really need that break physically and mentally. More so video making than from making art, but definitely the whole creative online thing, I just needed to maybe step back and just properly rest, because now I'm feeling much more motivated. So I hope that was useful. I don't really know how useful it was, but if you are new to my channel, welcome. My name is Katie. I make art videos. I do challenges, speed paints. I have quite a few discussion videos, some product reviews, all that kind of thing. So do take a look around my channel if you like what you see in this video or hear. And if you like this video, emotionally, please do leave it a like down below, as that really does help me out. And also leave your own comments about creative burnout with your own tips. Probably you'll have better tips than me. Tips on how to spot it before it happens, and tips on how to deal with it. But I always love reading your comments, and I always try and respond to every one of them. But that's really all for today's video. Sorry it's a little bit rambly. I didn't really know what I was going to say. I thought it would be much more natural to just talk rather than script it. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in a video very soon. Bye for now.